Hey everyone, let's talk some Leafs. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope you hit that subscribe button, like, notification bell. Definitely comment your thoughts below. So going to talk about the Leafs, how they could look after the trade deadline. Just some early thoughts for me. And you know what, guys? If you followed the channel for a while, I've always been a huge Luke Schenn fan, especially since he's kind of revived his career since like going through waivers, the days of like Anaheim, LA. Like he spent some weird times there and then found success in Vancouver, found his way to Toronto, and I mean, obviously, now he's signed in Nashville, and Nashville hasn't been great. But you know what? I think a Luke Schenn return to Toronto, especially for the sake of Morgan Rielly. Rielly played his best hockey in recent years with Luke Schenn, and I've kind of said, like, Morgan Rielly plays his best hockey when he can rely on a guy that takes the defensive responsibilities away from him and really be able to explode offensively. Because Rielly has been asked from the Leafs many times to play a defensive game, play on the penalty kill. Like we even saw it at times when Klingberger's around where Rielly's demoted to the second power play unit because he's playing penalty kill time. It shouldn't be the case anymore when you have guys like McCabe, Chris Tanev, Simone Benoit, go down the list, right? Now, if you bring in Luke Schenn, I just listed your 4 penalty killers, right? Like if you bring in Luke Schenn, the value for the Leafs on both special teams is so much greater, and also for what could benefit Morgan Rielly. So you could have Schenn and Benoit as the second penalty kill unit, with McCabe and Chris Tanev as your number 1 shutdown 5-on-5 and number 1 penalty kill unit. So I'm going to show you guys what I think in terms of the Luke Schenn trade, and then also another trade. So follow me on X if you haven't yet, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. But this is kind of what I'm looking at. So acquire Luke Schenn 50% retained, whether that's if Yarncrow is not going to be on LTIR for the rest of the year, maybe you send him back to Nashville. But we don't know his injury issues right now, or at least timeline. So maybe it's, I don't know, Connor Timmins. I feel like Nashville could benefit from a Connor Timmins in that top 4. Robertson, Camp, 3rd, 2nd, Brandon Tanev, and Yanni Gourde to Toronto. I think Seattle could make some more moves. They've already traded Will Borgen, brought in Kako. They're trying to get younger. I think they would want a guy like Robertson. So that lineup for me is a cup contender. Like, I haven't seen a Leaf team that deep in the Matthews era once. Like, the fact that you could have Yanni Gourde, Domi, McMahon as that third line is similar to what you have right now with Domi, McMahon, and Robertson. You just slide Domi to the wing. Gourde has that playoff experience, the Stanley Cups with Tampa. I think that would be much more of an upgrade in terms of playoff hockey. And Brandon Tanev right now has like 7 goals, 14 points, a guy that can bring you that offense on the 4th line and can be chippy. And we always talk about bite. We always talk about a little bit of that edge. Yanni Gourde and Brandon Tanev bring that. So I like that forward group a lot. And then the defense group is just completely balanced. You have your 2 offensive power play guys in Rielly and OEL, and then the other 4 guys that are going to be shut down strong defensively. So these are kind of the trades of what I have. If Nashville would be willing to retain 50% of Luke Schenn, which is not a lot, it's like 1.3 and a bit, you're retaining that, and you get a 2nd round pick for that compensation, and you also get Connor Timmins, and I think that's beneficial for Nashville. Some people might see it as an overpay for Toronto, but you're getting Luke Schenn at the same price tag as Benoit for the next 2 years. That is very valuable for the next 2 years next to Morgan Rielly. Again, is Luke Schenn willing to come back to Toronto? I don't know, but I hope he is. And then this trade, again, you have to give to get a 2nd, a 3rd, Camp Benning to offset the cap, and you get Brandon Tanev and Yanni Gourde. So those trades I could see happening on the surface. If there was a scenario where Austin Matthews went on LTIR, or in some scenario, the Leafs stack up Hakanpää, Yarncrow on LTIR, they move David Kampf, they get flexible with their cap, maybe Calgary helps them out a little bit, even though I don't think Calgary's going to help out Brad Treliving. Would you trade Easton Cowan for Nazem Kadri? This is a question I've asked on a video before, I've asked on Twitter. This would be the scenario here. You guys see this? So I've been torn about this trade. I don't know if I would do it in the scenario where you're in some cap hell a little bit, and then what are you going to do with the Marner extension? But for this year, if you could get a Blake Coleman or one of those feisty guys out of Calgary, do it. If you could get both, because Austin Matthews is on LTIR and you're pulling a Kucherov or Stone, I would trade Easton Cowan. That sounds nuts, but I think I would do it. I talked about with Anaheim, Mason McTavish, like there's some Ducks rumors floating around, but Calgary specifically, if they could put their issues aside with ownership and Brad Treliving and all of that, I think Calgary, like Flames fans should be all over this. Easton Cowan and a 2026 first-round pick from Toronto. You get Nazem Kadri, 50% retained. Again, do the Flames want to retain for a guy that has still years left on his contract? Probably not. But you're getting Easton Cowan and a first-round pick. If there was ever a scenario for Calgary to say yes to this, or ever a scenario where this is up in the air, I think both teams should say yes and run away with this because it benefits both teams in their vision. Yes, like I said, Calgary retaining that money on the Kadri contract is not ideal for them, but think of it as you're paying for Easton Cowan kind of right now in this weird way to get a really legit top 6 forward in Easton Cowan and maybe more. Maybe he ends up being a top line guy for Calgary. And then you get off the Blake Coleman contract. Even though Blake Coleman's been really good for you, you get off that contract and you have more cap flexibility going into the offseason as well. So it's something to consider. I don't know if it's realistic or not, but I go back to what I just talked about. And I really think this is a lineup. Something like this is what I would want going into the playoffs. So thank you so much, guys. Hit that subscribe button, like, notification bell, all that good stuff. I hope to see you guys more on the channel for video streams. We'll talk soon. Peace.